Welcome to the loveliest village on the plains, Auburn, Alabama, home of the Tigers. 2 weeks ago, Auburn journeyed to Starkville, a frustrating afternoon for the blue and orange, their first defeat of 2014. Now for Nick Marshall and his team, the quest for an SEC title and a berth in the college football playoff continues. South Carolina is the first hurdle. Steve Spurrier and company look for history. The first Carolina win on the plains. You are looking live at Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn, Alabama. The Tigers host Steve Spurrier and South Carolina. Auburn knows that a victory tonight keeps them in the discussion for the first ever college football playoff. The Tigers were off last Saturday following their loss a week earlier to Mississippi State. They can't wait to get back on the field here at Auburn. Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody, with Jesse Palmer. I'm Brent Musburger. What a beautiful shirt sleeve night here in Alabama. Thanks for dropping by. Jesse, Auburn with one loss. What do we make of them now with a one-loss team?
I think the Auburn Tigers are the best one-loss team in the country. You look ahead. If Auburn's going to compete for an SEC championship and make that inaugural college football playoff, they're going to earn it because they play the toughest remaining schedule of any team in college football. 3 games to go on the road at teams currently ranked in the top 9 of the AP poll. And if they're going to survive all that, they're going to have to rely on great play from their quarterback, Nick Marshall, one of the best dual-threat quarterbacks in the country. He's been playing at an extremely high level, both throwing and running the ball. First things first, you got to win tonight. Nick Marshall going to have to play great against South Carolina.
Now, Mississippi survived a little bit of a scare in Kentucky. They advanced with a 14-point win. But what do we make of South Carolina?
It's been a disappointing year for the Gamecocks. Picked to win the SEC East at the start of the year. They sit here with 3 conference losses, and tonight really is a must-win game. We all circled this game tonight as a key game for them if they were going to win the SEC East, and guess what? It still is. They're not out of this race yet by any stretch. Georgia still has to play Florida and Auburn. Missouri has looked very, very beatable. But if South Carolina is going to pull the upset tonight, their defense has to play out of their minds. They've been very, very maligned, near the bottom statistically in almost every major category defensively. Can't stop the run. They can't get after opposing quarterbacks. They've got to play great. The best game of the year if South Carolina is going to get their first ever win at Auburn.
Jesse, a few injury questions. Let's go down below to Maria Taylor on the Gamecock.
Well, Brent, the biggest question of injuries for South Carolina would be defensive tackle J.T. Surratt, who injured his hamstring against Furman last week. Now, he was able to go in warm-ups, and he didn't look limited at all. Defensive coordinator Lorenzo Ward tells me that he will get the start today and be able to play the entire game. But defensive line coach Deke Adams said the reason why they've been unable to stop the run this year is because they haven't played as a unit one time, guys missing assignments. So their goal is to start today and be able to put one spectacular defensive performance on the field against Auburn, guys.
All right, Maria, and the head ball coach, Steve Spurrier, won the toss. No deferring. Let's take the football and go to work. Carolina to receive here. Sean Carson back deep. Underway in Auburn. And a wonderful kick. You do everything kicker Daniel Carlson as we look at Dylan Thompson now. He'll be coming out for his first series of the game. What do we make of this young man?
Well, he's a tremendous player. 5th-year senior, waited his turn behind Connor Shaw. And Brent, he's played very, very well this year. He's making very good decisions with the football. He can hurt you with his arm. He's also a better runner than a lot of people think, and he's going to have to put all of that on display tonight against a very physical Auburn defense.
Mike Davis will open at running back. Brandon Wilds also ready to go tonight. Play action against Davis. Thompson rolls, throws high and incomplete. The intended receiver was Pharaoh Cooper.
And Dylan Thompson is going to have to be very accurate tonight throwing the ball into small windows because Auburn loves to play man-to-man coverage. Their cornerbacks and defensive backs will press receivers at the line of scrimmage, and as a quarterback, you can't afford to miss.
So they have to operate tonight without Rory Anderson, their fine tight end. Let's hope that he is able to return before the season's over. Second down for Thompson. Drops it off on a screen. Davis breaks a tackle and going to run for the first down. 45, and he's out of bounds near midfield. Holsey finally catching up with him. Good looking play.
Talked about that man-to-man coverage. Here was Mike Davis one-on-one with middle linebacker Casanova McKenzie. And I really think Mike Davis is the complete back. Not only good running the ball, but he's got good hands as well. He's explosive both out of the backfield, carrying it conventionally, and in the pass game as well.
24 yards, 1st and 10 near midfield for Carolina. Coming back with the pounder, Davis. Stopped at the point of attack by the middle of that Auburn defense. This will bring up 2nd and long, and we'll see what Spurrier dials up. In a game like this, Jesse, you having played for the head ball coach, for Steve Spurrier, what's he apt to do in the early going? He's a big underdog here tonight.
No doubt. Well, he's going to be aggressive, and I think that's one thing he's done a very good job of all year, Brent. Taking shots in the passing game, mixing in the run. You know, they're on pace to set a school record for 35 points a game. I think you've got to trust Dylan Thompson to make the right decisions here on the road, but no doubt about it, you got to be willing to take chances.
Stacks 3 receivers off to his left. Cooper is number 11. And there it is, taking the chance that Jesse told you about, but he overthrew Nick Jones. He has overthrown a couple of receivers here.
Talk about consistent accuracy is one thing. When you study the tape of Dylan Thompson, he makes a lot of great throws, but there are throws that he's good enough to make that he oftentimes misses as well. As you see, looking at his receiver saying, my bad. Again, one of these games, when the throws are there, and they're not always going to be as open as they just were to Nick Jones, he's got to go ahead and take advantage of that. Now setting up a big 3rd and long.
So our converted safety, Brandon King, checks in to that defense for Ellis Johnson. We were alerted they're trying to get a pass rush. Nothing doing. Thompson had time, throws. Cooper got the first down. Ellis Johnson, who was a defensive coordinator under Steve Spurrier over in Columbia, South Carolina. He knows what he's up against here tonight, and he converted a safety to a defensive end just to try to get more of a pass rush.
And they couldn't get home that time. Pharaoh Cooper for South Carolina, number 11, has really become their dependable go-to guy this year. On 3rd downs in the red zone, he's been their biggest playmaker on the perimeter.
Auburn rushes 4. Davis pounds right straight ahead against that defense. Impressive opening drive, Jesse.
It has, and Brent, to go back on what you touched on, there is a great chess match tonight between Steve Spurrier on offense and Ellis Johnson, who was his defensive coordinator for 4 years at South Carolina. 2 of the best in the business of what they do respectfully. They're familiar with one another. It's the game within the game. It's a lot of fun to watch tonight between 2 great minds.
Speaking of great minds, Gus Malzahn wears a visor. Started wearing it in high school because of Steve Spurrier at Florida. 2nd down and 4 now. Fires deep, cut beautifully by Rowland. Shaq Rowland with a touchdown. What a grab, and that time, Jesse, Dylan Thompson on target for 32 yards. We'll take a look at this and just make sure that everything is copacetic.
Well, we talked about Steve Spurrier having to be aggressive and take shots, and just give Shaq Rowland credit because he beats Jonathan Jones one-on-one. Look, to me, no issue there. Stays in bounds, football crosses the goal line, and what an impressive first drive for Dylan Thompson and this South Carolina offense here on the road in a hostile environment.
3 touchdown underdog. Strikes first, 7-0. Never count the head ball coach out. Remember now, on this drive, they converted a 3rd and 9. That set this up. Rolling for 6. Ard will kick it off here for South Carolina. Corey Grant and Rock Thomas. Rock Thomas, the very ballyhooed freshman. We expect to see him get maybe a dozen carries tonight from the backfield, but he's back to return this kickoff. Nobody will return that one. coming out on the 25. And now, Jesse, we turn our attention to the senior Nick Marshall of Auburn.
And if you've watched Nick Marshall over the last several weeks, you've seen him playing at an extremely high level. I think he's much improved from where he was a year ago. They've had to rely on him more this year throwing the ball, but still one of the fastest quarterbacks in the country. He's a threat to hit a home run each and every snap. And he's a guy this South Carolina defense has to find a way to keep contained and bottled up in that pocket.
Well, Ricardo Lewis, one of the wide receivers. Cameron Artis Payne, Corey Grant. That's Artis Payne who shifted over. He started with the first carry, and Carolina jumped him. The first player was T.J. Gurley, number 20. This defense, as Jesse told you, been under fire, but that was aggressive.
That's a good sign, Brent, because this is strength versus weakness. Auburn's best attribute on offense is its ability running the ball a lot of different ways, a lot of different people. And South Carolina, as we know, has really struggled this year to stop that run.
Second down and 8, and now they come back with Artis Payne pounding. He got the message. When the freshman showed up on that first series, Artis Payne said, "Don't forget about me."
Cameron Artis Payne, a big back at 210 pounds, but he lost weight this offseason, so he's got more of a burst, and you saw it right there.
Coming right back with him. And he is stoned in the hole that time by David Johnson and Roberts, number 21. Man, that hole closed in a hurry, Judge.
Hey, you got to be physical in the front seven. We talked about a weakness on this defense stopping the run, and it takes hits like that. Lorenzo Ward, their defensive coordinator, he rotate a lot of different bodies in, but you take a look, they've been giving up explosive plays, the most in the SEC this year. That's a bad recipe when playing Auburn.
Second down and 9. Marshall back deep. Can't find an open receiver under pressure. Throws. And great grab by Williams. Oh, the young man in his first year here on the Plains out of a JC.
The most impressive thing about Duke Williams is the catch radius. If you put the football anywhere within his wingspan, he's going to pull that in. That was a tremendous job by Nick Marshall buying time to get that throw up, but that's even a better catch by number 1.
Remember, they've got the center judge. They've got the extra official. He lines up back there. His job is to spot that football, and he stood there. So this is the crew. Scott Leffler's with the extra official. And number 44, Artis Payne, slips down on the play. So it's interesting to watch because normally you would think, there he is with the C on his back, okay? Normally you would think that Auburn would be very happy. At that time, he got it down and ready to go. So Chris Snead, Auburn will want him to spot that ball and move on back. Second down and 6. Keeping it's Marshall. Good ball handler. And now Auburn, after the turnover, has moved into the red zone.
You know, it's South Carolina blitzing off the edge. There's Nick Marshall keeping it when he feels like he's got that edge to make a big play.
Corey Grant's going to go in motion, tighten up a little bit. Marshall wants to carry it, slips a defender, but did not slip the second one that time, and Holloman was there along with Roberts. T.J. Holloman cleaning up.
Against Mississippi State, they had 3 possessions early in that game inside the Bulldogs' 10-yard line. They came away with 2 field goals. That was it, and that was a big deciding factor in that loss. So this offensive line has to raise its level of physicality, and the execution level's got to go up.
Looking at a second and 6. Artis Payne, and they go to the Wildcat now. Payne sends Bray in motion. Payne running all the way, and he's got a first and goal.
Auburn did their film study because Kentucky had a ton of success with the Wildcat formation in the red zone against South Carolina 2 games ago. Kentucky got that big win. You're seeing it here.
Quickly they line up. He ran right behind Reese Debukes, his great center that time. And this time he's thrown for a loss, and that was goal lighting.
It was a bad snap that took away the timing of that run. It forced Cameron Artis-Payne just to slow down a split second, and that allowed Golightly to make the stop. So we talked about better execution. That's Reese Dismukes. He's one of the best centers in the entire country. He's got to get that snap down, give these guys an opportunity to execute. Take a look again here. Cameron Artis-Payne's got to leave his feet. That disrupts the timing, forces him to hold on just an extra split second. There's the speed off the edge by Golightly.
So here's a second down and goal now. The ball on the 4-yard line. Artis-Payne is right behind him as Ricardo Lewis goes in motion. Marshall throws, and he's got the big fella, Jesse. Just as you said, Brandon Fultz slips into that end zone, and he hit the big fella.
Yeah, and Brandon Fultz, a fullback that oftentimes has been blocking, he actually had not caught a pass yet this year. And what a time. You're seeing very good creativity on that drive in the red zone. More Wildcats, something they hadn't shown a lot in the past, and now finally finding number 11 in the passing game for the first time this year. Some new wrinkles from Gus Malzahn in this offense. Remember, they had that bye week. Well, it shows. Used it well.
Daniel Carlson ties the game. So Brandon Fultz's first touchdown catch of the season. And remember, it was an interception back at the 8-yard line by McKenzie that set this up. Carlson with the ball on the tee. And Sean Carson back deep for the Gamecocks. Out of the goal line, ball out at the 25. Brandon Wilds is going to try it, but Thompson on first down, and Farrell Cooper battling for that reception against the defensive back. Wilds did not play last week against Furman, but he's on the field right now for Thompson. Thompson moves him over to the right. Inside of a minute left here in the first quarter at Auburn. And Wilds is short of the first down. Justin Garrett, the junior from Stone Mountain, Georgia, unloaded.
Well, you got to bring the heat if you're going to get a 230-pound running back like Brandon Wilds on the ground like that. He's a big runner, north-south. Justin Garrett, physical presence as well. His snaps are going to go up now at the middle linebacker position in this defense. It'll change from defensive coordinator Ellis Johnson from their most recent lineups.
Demir Bird, the wide receivers, down to the left. They run Wilds back. He trying to. Is that a horse collar? There's no yellow flag.
Well, he's inside the tackle box behind the line of scrimmage. You can't have a horse collar tackle. It can't be a penalty in that situation. So give Auburn credit. We talk about how they're a physical front seven. They play a lot of different bodies.
That's the end of the first quarter.
So that's going to bring it into our first quarter. South Carolina struck first on this touchdown pass to Shaq Rowley. After a turnover, Auburn was able to tie it on a touchdown pass from Nick Marshall to Brandon Fultz. Deadlocked at 7. Well, there's a great veterinarian medicine school here, and they've got a rehab center for these Eagles. And of course, the Eagles have been associated with Auburn football for over 100 years. And here tonight, Nova made the grand entrance prior to the kickoff. Bullseye.
And Brent, they're going for it on 4th and 2. Tie game deep in their own end. You talk about Spurrier being aggressive. Here you go.
Gotta have it. Option look, got it. Mike Davis checked in and brought it all the way out to the 50-yard line. You would expect Connor Shaw of a year ago to show us that option, but instead the head ball coach said, all right, I've got this for you.
We've seen this a couple times tonight, putting a defensive end. This time it's Elijah Daniels in no man's land because he's just sitting outside. He's got to either take the quarterback, Dylan Thompson. He doesn't commit to either one. It's an easy decision by Thompson. It's a tremendous gamble by Steve Spurrier.
From midfield, Thompson. Farrell Cooper couldn't hang on. That was Therese. Robinson Therese, one of the best in the SEC.
And Brent, when I've watched the play calling this year by Steve Spurrier, it's the closest it's looked to the fun and gun offense when he was in Florida. Why? Because they're aggressive, taking shots deep down the field, mixing in the run game, going for it on 4th down. We talked about it. They're on pace to set a school record for points per game in a season. It's a different mentality and mindset, and it's paying off tonight in a huge game.
2nd down and 10. Got that slant. That time, of course, with Demir Bird, number 1 for the 1st down. Mincy making the stop for the Tigers, who are reeling after that 4th down gamble.
It's impressive watching these South Carolina receivers because they're not the biggest in the country. And Demir Bird, only 5'9", 170, but against the man-to-man bump and run coverage that Auburn loves to work, these guys are winning right now. They've been more physical, and they're getting open on routes.
Cooper goes back out to the outside. 3 wide receivers to the left of Thompson. Play clock down to 5 now. Got it off. Ran the football with Davis. Davis to the 34-yard line. Moncrief with the stop for the Tigers.
He is a violent runner. 225-pound back that has north-south ability, but also can make you miss and take it to the house. He's got tremendous speed. To give him a blow, get him off the field. They bring Sean Carson now in, number 7. He's a change of pace back. Provides this offense a couple different options. Catching the ball out of the backfield and different things they can do in the run game.
2nd and 6. Bird comes on that jet sweep, double reverse, gonna throw back. Thompson's got it for a 1st down and out of bounds. They threw back to Thompson off the double reverse. Farrell Cooper, who runs the Wildcat. We told you they'd have him everywhere tonight.
This is a clinic on aggressive play calling by Steve Spurrier. We had this play in our playbook back at Florida. Haven't seen it very often this year. This is more fun and gun than I've seen in a very long time. But you've been seeing that really all year for South Carolina.
Did you ever catch one? Did he ever throw it back to you?
You never trusted me as much, Brent. And, you know, I got to say, can't really blame him.
Here we go, 1st down and 10 now. Ball on the 20-yard line. Thompson gets it over to the side, and that's Jeffrey. So Jeffrey with his first play of the night. Shamir Jeffrey, number 8.
South Carolina's been up and down the field all game. They've had a lot of success, almost 200 yards of offense already. We've just started the 2nd quarter. Of course, it was the red zone where they got in problems last time around. Bad interception over the middle of the field now. Playing on the road against an explosive offense like Auburn, you've got to make these opportunities count. You need 7s, not 3s, to beat the Tigers at Jordan-Hare.
Stacking the 3 to the top of your screen. 2nd down and 6. Looking in that direction. Going to go for the end zone. Farrell Cooper. Touchdown.
More aggressive play calling. Dylan Thompson has press, man-to-man coverage outside, and he just picks his best receiver. It's easy pickings, and there's Farrell Cooper doing a great job. What a game he's having. Going up, high-pointing that football over top of a defender. Unstoppable right now on offense, led by that quarterback, Dylan Thompson.
Elliott Fry knocks it down. Spurrier and Carolina back ahead. And how about Farrell Cooper? Throws a pass, comes back and catches a touchdown pass. What a night here for number 11. The freshman from 2 yards in. Thomas takes it out. Spun around, and there's a penalty flag. He's thrown down around the 20-yard line. First down and 10 now for the Tigers, trailing it by 7. Corey Grant is lined up as the running back along with Artis Payne, who's in motion. Now he tightens up. Artis Payne keeps it around the right, spots daylight, got a first down, and a foot race down that far side, out of bounds near midfield. Gurley, the defender.
You know, there's this myth that Auburn is a finesse running offense because they go up tempo and they run a lot of quarterback zone read, but they are downhill. They run power, counter, inside zone. They pull linemen. They did right there, getting extra bodies at the point of attack. And you've got to bring your big boy pads. Look at big number 53, Devontae Danzy, getting out in front of Cameron Artis Payne for that big game.
Ricardo Lewis now goes into the slot, and again Gus Malzahn wanted Williams outside him here to the left. Marshall checks number 1 on that side, but they're going to throw inside to Lewis. And that time they were using Williams as the blocker for him that time, and Lamons makes the play defensively.
You know, you're in such a predicament if you're South Carolina in defense. We know you've been struggling. So do you stop the run? Do you load the box? That puts defenders one-on-one on the perimeter, and you've got to make tackles like that all game long.
Here's Rock Thomas, the freshman. He's got a little giddy up, folks, to the 29-yard line. Lewis with the stop for the Gamecocks.
Just going to say, Brent, you can see why he was the number 5 rated running back coming out of high school. He's got that extra gear and the ability to go inside and outside with vision.
Tried to bounce that one. Made his way to about the 23-yard line, where it will be second down. Right away, the Auburn Tigers getting ready, although Williams is coming out of the game. So that will allow the defense to substitute. Uzuma comes in on this second down and 4 for Gus Malzahn. Incidentally, Gus Malzahn and Steve Spurrier are good friends in the SEC media days. They always team up and play golf against one another. And if you play golf with Spurrier, you better bring your A game, folks. Second down and 4. Marshall keeps it, got the first down.
It's another example of that power running game, pulling Chad Slade, the right guard, at the point of attack. Nick Marshall reading the end, decides to keep it, and right now you're seeing this Auburn offensive line get a lot of push up front.
Artis Payne comes in from the sideline. Use motion this time, and they hand it off, and that's Ricardo Lewis, who's to the 11-yard line. This will be second down and short for the Tigers. Moody with the stop for the Gamecocks.
All the different pressure that Nick Marshall puts on you as a running quarterback. We've seen him keep it a couple times. South Carolina defensively now keying on him, and Gus Malzahn staying one step ahead, getting 3 different running backs and getting wide receivers involved in the run game as well.
Nick Marshall, dual threat quarterback. Artis Payne, and he flips it back out to the outside to Bray. Bray slips a tackle, battling his way toward the end zone, and just shy of it.
Bray is very difficult to tackle, Brent. They put him as their punt returner. He's got 2 punt return scores this year for a reason. That time South Carolina decided to bring pressure. Marshall spits it out to him. You see Gus Malzahn wanted to keep the foot down on the pedal.
Artis Payne cuts back, touchdown Auburn. Extra point away from a tie. I think you are watching about as much emotion as we've seen from Gus Malzahn on the sideline in some time. This is a guy who knows now he's in a dogfight with the head ball coach. And if you think he's emotional, you should see his wife. That's right. She can't even come out into the stands. She's back watching it, probably watching on television, and she was cheering that last play. You haven't seen that piece of the SEC network on the wives of the coaches, you got to catch it. It's wonderful. Carlson now ties it up. Now I want you to take a look at Gus Malzahn, high school coaching legend out of Arkansas, showing the big boys that he knows how it's done. Welcome, sir, big sir. You know, it's interesting. And, Big Spurrier, this is the conference of great animals. Maria Taylor, what about the Gamecocks defense?
A lot of frustration on the sideline, Brent. Coaches talking about fitting the wrong gaps, and they're praising the aggressive nature of the front 7 right now, but really disappointed with the discipline that they've had so far playing defense against Auburn, guys.
You know, and Maria, that's been the issue with them stopping the run. It's been getting pushed around up front on the D-line. Guys not filling. They're not getting the right angles from linebackers into the secondary. And tackling's been an issue, and some of that is manifesting itself early in this game, and certainly something that South Carolina defensively needs to get fixed.
Carson back deep for the Gamecocks. Line drive. And they'll take it on the 25-yard line. First down and 10. Option look again from Thompson. This time Auburn says you're not going to fool us. Davis is taken down by Chris Frost, number 17.
And so far tonight, Brent, you've seen South Carolina feast on this man coverage. And we talked about Auburn loves to do it. You take a look here at the stop by Frost at a linebacker making a play, but why does Auburn play so much man coverage? Well, it's because they can't generate a pass rush up front. Only 5.5 sacks from this defensive line, and defensive coordinator Ellis Johnson has had to try to find ways to be creative and blitz people, and when you do that, you've got to put your defensive backs on an island on the perimeter of the field.
Looking at a 2nd and 12. Incomplete through high to Farrell Cooper, and his vision might have been affected by the rush on the left side that time. No one actually got to the quarterback. I'm not sure that Dylan had a good viewing angle because of the big fella right there.
Well, Dylan Thompson now has to have a plan, because we talked about Ellis Johnson likes to be aggressive, and it's these 3rd and long situations that he can dial up some exotic pressures. He's got his best pass rushers on the field right now. You've got to be careful. And this is where the noise really kicks in if you're Auburn at home.
South Carolina spreads the field here on 3rd and 12. Send everybody out. Offensive line holds, deflected, incomplete. Robinson Therese was there defensively.
That's one of the few times tonight, Brent, they've won that man-to-man outside. Farrell Cooper's been a monster everywhere he's been, but you got Therese in the slot, mano-a-mano, maybe a little grab right there. I think he might have gotten away with defensive holding.
Yeah, that could have been holding. Obviously, you can put your hands on a receiver if the ball's not yet in the air.
That's
but
right.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
That could have been,
and it should have been an automatic first down, I think.
Quan Bray is back deep now for the Tigers. Punt drives him back to the 12-yard line. Breaks a couple of tackles. Spins free. 30-yard line. 35. Fumble. And I believe Carolina's got it. I'm not sure Chris Moody didn't fall on that football down there. Let's let him unpile.
Wow. Yeah,
yes, indeed.
Yeah. Wow.
He comes out.
Well, we talked about Quan Bray. Very, very difficult to tackle. 2 punt return scores coming into tonight. There's not a lot of teams that give him chances. And you see why on that last play. The ball security's got to be key. And give South Carolina's defense credit. Swarming around this. It's like big number 92. Got his paws on that. Gerald Dixon Jr., a defensive tackle. Look at him on the outside on the punt team. Getting the big paw in there, forcing a turnover. Wow.
Power of the formation switches over to the left with those tight ends. 2 receivers wide to the right. Thompson's looking left, going to throw to Davis underneath. Beautiful hit, dive for the end zone. Touchdown, South Carolina. What a great effort by Davis on that. The ball was perfectly thrown out in front of him. Davis ran to the ball, Jesse, and took it 27 yards for the score.
They were able to sneak him out 26. Justin Garrett for Auburn was supposed to have him man-to-man. He got picked by his own defender coming out of the backfield, and there are not a lot of starting running backs in college football that have hands as good as Mike Davis. I said it earlier. This guy's the total package, has a very long career ahead of him on Sundays.
Steve Spurrier came in here a 17.5-point underdog. I can't remember ever doing a game involving Spurrier in the SEC when he was a 17.5-point underdog. Doesn't look like it either, does he, folks? Another outstanding kickoff. And he'll come out on the 25-yard line. Taking over for Gus's play call. He's been shifting players late, especially receivers. And you can see Williams at the top of your screen moving to that slot. And he ran the quarterback draw out of it. So the window dressing tried to influence the defense, and Sky Moore, fine linebacker for South Carolina.
And this
hasn't mentioned him much tonight, but he makes that play.
You're right, Brent. This is his kind of game. It's his kind of party because he's fast and he's got tremendous instincts. He's not the biggest linebacker in this conference at 213 pounds, but he flies around, and that's a good matchup. We talked about them having to tackle Nick Marshall in space.
Jonathan Wallace, former backup quarterback who's been converted to wide receiver. He's off to the quarterback's right, number 12. They're going to throw it to him. Remember, he's a quarterback. He can throw it. He's going to throw it back to Marshall. Marshall with daylight. And he's out of bounds at about the 43-yard line. Gerald Dixon.
You're all over that, Brent. You're in the headsets, brother.
Well, I was watching that in practice all day.
Pays to fly out early. But here's another example of Gus Malzahn showing you some wrinkles. You throw it out to a former quarterback, gives it right back to yours. Says, hey, Spur, you can do that. Throw it back to Dylan Thompson, so can we.
And now he pounds back with Artis Payne as the running back. Jordan Diggs making the stop. So we've got 3:50 to go. Auburn is down a touchdown. That's enough time for these guys to score a half dozen touchdowns the way we're looking. There is Wallace. He'll come in as one of the holders, too, on field goals and extra points. He was a fine high school athlete. Marshall middle. Got a man. Sammy Coates slips a tackle. And now, look at that. Takes about a half dozen of those white jerseys from South Carolina to bring him down.
And Sammy Coates is back. This is a guy you mentioned earlier, suffered through a left knee injury early this season. But if you've watched their last two games against LSU and Mississippi State, you know he's close to 100%, and that spells a lot of trouble for defenses down the road. Lots of speed, and he can work the middle of the field.
Here's your first down. Artis Payne pounding straight ahead. Sky Moore was still another stop.
If I'm Auburn, I just keep doing this. You know, they're pulling guards. That time, Danzy, the left guard again, getting into the second level. Sky Moore slipping a block and making the tackle. But if I'm Auburn, be physical. This offensive line that hasn't always been that this year, they're looking much better tonight than we've seen them in a long time.
2nd and 7. That's the freshman Thomas. Takes fake. Marshall. Over the 20, 15, 10, Marshall inside the 5, end zone touchdown, Auburn. Another beautiful play fake involving the freshman. Marshall pulled it back out and took it 37 yards for the touchdown.
Nick Marshall's speed is what makes this Auburn spread attack so unique. Remember, he played cornerback at Georgia. And if he gets into the second level, he can do that. I talked about his play being elevated. It's not just throwing the ball. It's what he's done running it as well. Just so much more confidence, therefore, so much more dangerous.
Carlson ties it at 21. It's been a dandy in Auburn. Let's go to Maria now.
Coach, we've seen you go for it on 4th down and run a double reverse. What's the mindset behind your aggressive play calling?
Well, obviously, it's an offensive game tonight, and we got to stay out there, and we got to try to stay on the field if we're going to have a chance to win. Our defense is a little banged up. We're going to have trouble stopping them, so we got to try to score. Simple.
What is the key for your defense getting a stop in the second half?
Well, we got them in some 3rd downs, and I don't know, tackle better, I think, would help.
Thanks, Coach.
So Gus Malzahn over on the Auburn side, a huge fan of Steve Spurrier. That's the reason why he wears that visor. He put it on when he was a high school coach, and now he and Spurrier are exchanging blows. Let's go to Darinoka. South Carolina and Auburn tied at 21 at the intermission, and Jesse Palmer, we've had better than 500 yards of combined offense here in the first half.
Brent, it's an offensive showcase between two of the best play callers in all of college football. Offensively, two innovators, and Steve Spurrier from South Carolina and Gus Malzahn from Auburn. This kind of game, whoever plays the smartest in the second half has the fewest turnovers, fewest mistakes. Which defense can make a stop? I think that'll go a long way in determining which team wins here tonight.
Maria Taylor, you spoke with Coach Gus Malzahn.
Yeah, Brett, and he basically said that his team needs to continue to be who they are, and that's a running team. They want to continue to strategically run the football, but defensively, guys, he said they did not do a very good job of accounting for South Carolina's running back, Mike Davis. So that's going to be weighing heavy on the minds of the defenders going into the second half.
So here we go. Settle back, everybody. Grant. And he's going to come out. Hesitated for a moment. And it was a bad gamble. Down around the 11-yard line. And that's where Nick Marshall and Auburn will go to work.
Yeah, Corey Grant, he's anxious. He only had 5 kick returns coming into tonight trying to make a play. So now Nick Marshall, who's having a phenomenal day tonight. You see he's been very efficient throwing it, but it's on the ground where I think he's done more damage. And this is a guy, again, that'll continue to stress South Carolina defensively. They're going to have to find a way to make an answer. You see big JT Surratt, he's their best defensive player. Not playing 100% tonight with that hamstring injury. These guys, up front especially for South Carolina, they've got to make more plays.
We have not had 1 3-and-out in this football game. Artis Payne with the first call. And he picks up 9 yards before Golite brings him down.
And I think JT Surratt and the rest of these defensive tackles for South Carolina, that's going to be the key in the second half. You go back to the national title game last year, Timmy Jernigan or Travis Britz at Kansas State earlier this year.
Quick snap now. Come right back with Artis Payne for the first down out to the 25-yard line.
Dominant play at defensive tackle slows Auburn down. Penetration into the backfield and eating up blocks at the point of attack and allowing your linebackers to run clean and make stops. These guys inside, including Big 97, who's not playing 100% healthy, they've got to have a lights-out second half.
Now Duke Williams in a wide receiver package. Check in for Marshall and Auburn. But they stick with Mark Bray, and he got the outside before Artis Payne stepped out of bounds on that far side. I thought for sure with that wide receiver package they were going to throw it.
This defense now is forcing Nick Marshall to give the football off. Take a look outside. David Johnson, he's slow off the ball. He's going to make Marshall give that to Cameron Artis Payne. They don't want to see any more quarterback runs downfield.
They get outside to Bray. Bray is to the 45-yard line. And trying to pick up the tempo as much as they can.
See South Carolina here trying to make a substitution. We just saw David Johnson, defensive end. He's kind of hobbling off the field. This tempo is something to watch now in the second half. Can they wear South Carolina down?
Checking with Malzahn on the sideline, and this time Williams stays right in the slot to the right. Marshall is back. Has time, feather touch, wide open Fultz. Fultz was 5 yards away from any defender that time.
Brandon Fultz is replacing Jay Prosch, last year's fullback, who's the best fullback in college football and the #1 rushing offense, showing you the athleticism and versatility in the pass game.
And they come right back with Artis Payne. As you watch the replay, that's how quickly they're snapping the ball here. And now the freshman, Rock Thomas, checks in, and Lammons is locked up with Williams down to the left. Second down and 4. That's Thomas. The freshman trying to get the edge, and he's thrown down hard by Walton. Walton's made a couple of good plays here on this drive, and now we come to a 3rd and short. Remember how dangerous the quarterback is.
No doubt. And Jonathan Walton, the guy that had a concussion in their last game against Furman, was cleared to play tonight, and he's making plays. So 3rd and short, bigger bodies now coming on. Cameron Artis Payne. There's big Brandon Fultz, number 11 at fullback. You're expecting Auburn here to run the football, and they should with the way this offensive line is played.
Fultz in that H-back look, sits tight on the left. Artis Payne picks his way for the first down. It'll be first down and goal for Auburn on the opening drive of the second half.
You see these white jerseys moving backwards, and we talk about the physical running game of Auburn. Cameron Artis Payne may have lost weight, but that doesn't mean he's still not a physical runner. Has the ability to get north-south. The tempo wears you down. These running backs can wear you down.
So for the Auburn team, that offensive line, Big Sean Coleman on the left, Danzy, Dismukes, Slade, Avery Young getting a start tonight. Over on the right side. And Marshall keeps it off the fake and basically walks into the end zone. Using Corey Grant, who had replaced number 44, Artis Payne. So the motion worked beautifully against the Gamecock defense that time. Marshall kept it and strolled in for his second rushing touchdown of the night. And Auburn takes his first lead. Seven-point Tiger advantage. Well, that's what the middle of that Auburn offensive line looked like to the South Carolina defenders. Reese Dismukes right in the middle, number 50. He was the All-SEC center a year ago. He's going to be it again. Watch this block. Watch him take care of the tackle on that his right side. Dismukes is out of Spanish Fort, Alabama. They went back to his high school during the off week, and they retired his number 75. So you know that he was a very, very outstanding high school lineman. Nice young man. He spent time with us yesterday. Jess, like to go hunting a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, you want him on your side no matter where you go. He's that kind of guy. You talked about a great high school player. He's been an unbelievable collegiate player. You know, he started every game that he's been here at Auburn. Tonight's his 44th start, four-year starter, preseason All-American, long career on Sundays.
This is Carson. He's got one to return from the 5. And he is out to about the 28-yard line. Second down and 10. There's that option look again. Picked up a couple of yards and no more. I remember you and I were here in Arkansas, and Auburn were tied at 21, and then Auburn took total control in the second half.
Yeah, they just seemed to play more physical. And on that last play, that was a good example. You've seen that option work for South Carolina. There was never anybody outside the defensive end left on an island. That time, linebacker number 17, Chris Frost, he was there to make a play on Mike Davis, now setting up 3rd and long.
And the crowd's in it big time. 3rd down and 8. Thompson moves the pocket to the left, fires for the first down, and he hit Nick Jones. Nick Jones out of Moore, South Carolina, a 5th-year senior, veteran receiver, went to that spot, and it was first down, South Carolina.
I like how Dylan Thompson keeps his cool. His first and second read aren't there, so you fight back, you go through your progression. And how about Nick Jones? At 5'7", $168, the toughness he shows week in, week out, catching the ball in traffic over the middle of the field.
Now it's the Wildcat look. Davis behind the left side of that offensive line. A good gain on first down, just shy of midfield. So Steve Spurrier calls that Wildcat. Used it once in the first half that I remember. Just a good change-up.
Well, he's used it with different guys. That time, Mike Davis in the backfield. We've seen Farrell Cooper back there playing the Wildcat quarterback. They're still pulling linemen. Will Sport came around that time. Physical.
Puts him down in 2nd and 4. Auburn adjusts the defense, and Thompson looks over at the head ball coach. 2 head coaches both called their own offensive plays. Stands tall. Cooper, the foot race for the end zone. We're an extra point away from another tie. What a terrific call against that defense. Spurrier read that second. You know, Jesse, you and I talked to you. Told me, you know better than I do. He just has that feel down on the field. He sees something and he calls against it.
And Brent, I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he's able to see and feel the game as a play caller from the field. We see so many coordinators in today doing it from the press box, but Steve Spurrier, he just has an unbelievable knack for calling the right plays at the right time. And we've got right now a chess match between two grandmasters on offense.
Fry ties it at 28. So watch Pharoh Cooper lined up as a slot, slipped inside of Therese, who's a fine defensive back. There was no safety there for him because he lined up in that slot. For whatever reason, the safety was shaded the other way. Spurrier read it perfectly. First things first, they haven't stopped South Carolina here tonight. What a drive chart.
Yeah, how about, I mean, everything Steve Spurrier's been dialing up has worked. And remember, even on that punt, I think, they were able to force a fumble and get the ball back. So everything working on offense right now, really with the only blemish just being this interception right here down in the red zone. It's been almost a flawless night for Pharoh Cooper, Damiere Byrd, Nick Jones, Steve Spurrier. Lights out.
Just keeping a ball there by his side. Landon Ard will kick it off. And Brock Thomas is back deep with Corey Grant. They have been back deep all night. This one out of the end zone will come out on the 25-yard line.
As you see on this drive chart right here, been on the field. They've just been kind of chipping away, getting big gains on first and second down, keeping South Carolina on their heels defensively. Here comes Nick Marshall again now. You got to figure you just got to keep scoring in this type of game.
And he hands off to Lewis on the end around, and Lewis breaks the daylight. Foot race. Touchdown Auburn. 75 yards after the 51-yard touchdown by South Carolina. Ricardo Lewis.
Someone's got to make a stop at some point, right? You know, and as a former quarterback, you just love watching games like this. This is right in Gus Malzahn and Steve Spurrier's wheelhouse.
Daniel Carlson pulled that to the left, but it went through. 35-28. 7-point lead. And this, folks, is simply an example of speed kills. Bama 27-10 in the third over Tennessee. And this ball will come out on the 25-yard line with Auburn up by 7, and now it's up to the head ball coach again. So they're going to open up with Pharoh Cooper, and that Wildcat is Thompson. Again motions out and right up the middle. 9 yards, and Frost makes the stop.
We saw in that last graphic we just showed, Brent, Gus Malzahn's not used to losing games when his offense is playing this well. The last time they lost having scored more than 30 points was in the national title game that you called last year against Florida State. So it's a bit of uncharted water that, you know, not used to these kind of offensive or losing and being on the wrong side of these offensive explosive games. We got a wild one here tonight.
Thompson now feathers one near side, and Byrd couldn't hang on there, working against Holsey.
And Auburn defensively, this secondary has to pick up their man coverage. And Jonathan Jones that time lined up with Byrd, did a very good job. They've already given up 4 touchdown passes. We've seen them get burned a lot in these man-to-man situations. They're not going to change their defense. So on the perimeter of the field, Auburn's got to be better at the defensive back spot.
Now that false start made it tough here on the third down. Brandon King is on the field as a rush man for Ellis Johnson. He's got 3 down. Now he rushes 4. They broke through. Throw very close. Close enough with Mincy making the tackle. Close enough here. You're going to wonder what Steve's going to do on 4th down.
You're going.
He's got to go.
You're going. There's no doubt about it. This type of game, offensive game, you can't stop Auburn on defense without a doubt. You are going. Give Mike Davis the pill.
Auburn shifts quickly, and Davis a penalty flag. There's a penalty flag. Davis was very upset.
False start on the offense. Number 90. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
And that's Cody Gibson, one of the tight ends, and he's saying, what did I do?
You know, and here's the thing, Brent. I don't know if it matters if it's 4th and 1 or if it's 4th and 6. I think you're still going if you're Steve Spurrier. Now all of a sudden that running game with Mike Davis now potentially comes out. Where's Pharoh Cooper? Is he on the field? Number 11. He's the big go-to guy in this offense. He's made plays. He's going to be in the slot.
When you make this call, you got to make it. Here comes the rush, closing in. Cooper, turf. Good call, Jesse. Got the first down. Out of bounds at the 48-yard line.
It's a gutsy play call. You're absolutely right. But, Brent, your defense can't stop anybody. You're not going to get stopped, so you've got to roll the dice. And I like this. Maybe anticipating pressure, you roll your quarterback out, give him an easy throw. A little bit behind Cooper, but a good job on the concentration. The second time on 4th down that kept drives alive.
Therese has lost Cooper a couple of times. That time he simply missed on the tackle. Might have been able to stop him, and he's a good one. 1st down and 10 now. Thompson's in the gun. There's that option look. Pitches to Davis. Davis has got it. 40-yard line. 35. Out of bounds at the 30-yard line.
Auburn just hasn't had an answer for this speed option from South Carolina. Too many times Mike Davis has been able to get to the perimeter of the field, and there's no one there to make a play. You see President, 42, the defensive end. He's in no man's land. He does what he's supposed to do. You got to honor the quarterback, but you know, right now they've got to find an adjustment on defense to get an extra body outside for Mike Davis and these options.
3:37 remaining here in the 3rd quarter. 1st down and 10 for the Gamecocks. Davis slips a tackle. Got himself back to the original line of scrimmage, but he was slowed up back there by Big Gabe Wright. Wright, incidentally, is one of the captains here tonight, along with the center, Dismukes. They're the 2 captains. There's Gabe.
And he's a guy that's got to play better and more consistent, Brent. He's a guy, when you watch him on film, he flashes. There's moments that he looks completely unblockable. Then he disappears for about 10 snaps. He's a guy, they haven't got the production they expected they would this year, but they need him to play much better down the stretch this season.
2nd down and 10. Auburn rushes 4. Thompson complete to Rowland. Rowland's at the 10-yard line and out of bounds. Shaq Rowland.
There's no defense for a perfect throw. This is a back shoulder throw against Trevon Reed, a very big physical corner. Watch where Dylan Thompson puts this football, where only his guy can make the catch. The back shoulder of Shaq Rowland. There's nothing you can do as a defender to stop that play.
Brandon Wiles is the South Carolina running back. He's alongside Thompson. 4 wide receivers, 3 to the left. Has time, end zone, touchdown! Perfect strike to Nick Jones. What a duel between, as Jesse Palmer said, 2 of the best play callers in all of college football.
And once again, the gamble on 4th down by Steve Spurrier, 4th and 6, pays off with a touchdown. That's the mindset Steve Spurrier has. You heard him tell Maria that before going in at halftime. It's the mindset certainly Gus Malzahn has on offense. This could simply come down to, Brent, which team has the ball last. This has been fun to watch, so long as you're an offensive guy.
Heartburn for the defensive coordinators. 70 points. Deadlocked at 35. Thompson dials up his 5th touchdown pass of the night.
This is just it's just one of those games where both Gus Malzahn, Steve Spurrier, they've just dialed up the right calls time after time after time.
Onside kick by Ard. Loose ball, free ball. South Carolina pounces on it.
I think that hit a South Carolina player before
it went 10 yards.
I do, and I'm very curious to look at this again. Watching that live, that looked like it hit the South Carolina body. I thought Sherrod Golightly, their linebacker who's on that cover team, I thought it might have hit him in the legs. Let's take a look at this. Look at he's just down here. That hit him?
I don't think so. I think it went between the legs, Jesse, on that second look. I really don't think it hit him. Watch. This is a better shot now.
Oh, you're right. It didn't hit him.
Did not hit him.
And then how about number 10, Sky Moore, with the heads-up idea not to touch the ball. He waited for it to go 10 yards before pouncing on that. So Steve Spurrier, kudos, taking another gamble, being aggressive, and it's paying off.
Coming down inside at 2 minutes here in the third quarter. Game tied at 35. Incomplete, and it'll be second down and 10, and there's Therese doing a fine job on that play.
I think for the most part in the second half, the secondary of Auburn has done a better job in man-to-man situations. Now the problem is they've got to get a pass rush. You mentioned it earlier, Brent. That's been really a thorn in this defense all season long. This defensive line getting home on quarterbacks, and Dylan Thompson has just had way too much time tonight to throw the football.
Second down and 10 for Thompson and the Gamecocks. 3 wide to the right. Thompson in trouble, backside, incomplete. And that was very good coverage by Chris Frost. And the pressure was coming from Elijah Daniel. Daniel coming through.
He's a guy they want on the field in passing situations, whether it's defensive end or defensive tackle. Here's from defensive end, just speed around the outside. And Chris Frost, the middle linebacker, is having a monster second half so far in this game. Getting off blocks, making tackles, snipping out the screen. Here's a huge 3rd and 10. Get ready for this noise.
Low snap. Thompson's got it. Time in the middle. Got it. First down on a 3rd and 10 to Nick Jones.
Again, just way too much time for Dylan Thompson to get rid of this football. Firstly, it's a bad snap. So if there had been any pass rush whatsoever, they may have got to him. But just look at this pocket. There's nobody in front of him. He's got all day to throw the football and find Nick Jones over the middle of the field to convert that 3rd down. Somebody has got to emerge on this front for Auburn and start applying pressure to number 17.
Robinson cannot sport and shell that offensive line. First down and 10. Look at the pressure look from the Tigers now as they move to the middle. And they run against that pressure. Spurrier has dialed up the run all night long against the linebacker pressure from Auburn's defense.
And he's winning the chess match with defensive coordinator Ellis Johnson. We talked about their familiarity. 4 years together at South Carolina. Ellis Johnson was a D coordinator at Alabama, played Spurrier 3 times, beat us in the '99 SEC championship game. He's had his wins in this duel, but tonight, safe to say it's been all Spurrier.
But we're tied at 35. Running for it, and Davis slips him down at the line of scrimmage, and so it'll be a 3rd down here coming up for the Gamecocks. On 3rd down here tonight, when you think about the plays that Spurrier has called, he's going to let the time run down on the 3rd quarter, the final seconds. Spurrier and the Gamecocks 4 of 7. But Auburn's 5 of 6 on 3rd down. Gus Malzahn doing a job on the other sideline. So a wild game got wilder in the 3rd quarter. Marshall taking it in. Then it was Farrell Cooper, a 51-yard touchdown. Then the 75 by Lewis. And finally over the top to Jones. Deadlocked at 35. The game of the year in the SEC. The Auburn Tigers. But what you will hear around town when you come for a ball game, and haven't we enjoyed being here 3 times this year? War Eagle. And it has been a war with Steve Spurrier and the Gamecocks here tonight. Here, Jesse, 3rd down now.
Huge, because field goals aren't going to win this game. So for South Carolina, your mindset has to be, we're converting this, and we need touchdowns to win.
Mike Davis will try to get the first down, and he is wrestled down, and that was Chris Frost, number 17, coming up from Matthews, North Carolina, a junior. And Steve said, let's go.
You got to go.
We're not kicking field goals.
No, I agree with that. Field goals are not going to win. You took a gamble on the onside kick. Make it pay off.
Here we go, 4th down 1. First down.
It's just fun to watch.
That's 3 times on 4th down.
I know. It's three times on 4th
for the
down.
head ball coach.
Steve Spurrier, the HBC, he's just been rolling dice all night long.
Davis stays in as a running back after picking up that first down.
You got man-to-man outside still. Farrell Cooper down here in the slot against Therese, a guy that he's won against a couple times in situations. Auburn now switching the defense to his zone.
Davis runs down to the 18, but didn't Ellis Johnson tell us, somebody told us that Steve Spurrier kills his own defense? Who was it who told us
it was Texas A&M's coaching staff on defense, and it's true. You know what, Brent? That's why I thought coming into this game, when you play big zones against Spurrier in this offense, they tend to pick you apart. But man-to-man coverage at times gives them trouble. We talked about that earlier. Tonight, Dylan Thompson and these wide receivers have been feasting on Auburn's secondary when they've had one-on-one situations.
2nd and 8.
There's another one here.
Firing and a little behind Cooper was that one.
No doubt. Yeah.
Incomplete.
That's one Dylan Thompson wants to have back. If he puts that out in front of number 11, I think he's walking in and he's scoring. Just a simple slant throw. It's like the one he caught for a long touchdown earlier. If that's out in front, that's going to be a score. So here we go, another 3rd and long. And if you're Auburn, you've got to get home. So Gabe Wright, Montravius Adams, Elijah Daniel, any of these guys up front, someone's got to score.
On 3rd and 8, end zone, and diving interception, picked off by Jonathan Jones. The 2nd pick of the night for Auburn.
And it was the pressure that forced that turnover. At the time Auburn needed it the most, they got great push up the middle of the field from Gabe Wright and Montravius Adams.
Here comes that pressure that Jesse talked about. Getting to Thompson on the throw. Jones does the rest in the end zone. A great grab. And the battle continues. Somebody said we've got SEC bias. Deal with it. They're the best. And here comes Artis Payne for a first down as he explodes out of the block.
What can you say about this offensive line? Already over 350 rushing yards for the Auburn Tigers.
Coming back with Artis Payne. And now they're starting to pound away at the middle of Lorenzo Ward's defensive unit, which has had a lot of different sort of problems. 2nd down and 3. These two coaches have great respect for each other. And there's Bray on the outside. Got a first down midfield, 45. And he's out of bounds around the 40. And here come the Tigers.
And again, because they're running it so well, Lorenzo Ward, the D coordinator in South Carolina, has no choice. He's got to put bodies close to the line of scrimmage, and that's setting up one-on-one opportunities outside for dangerous people like Bray to make you miss.
So from the 40-yard line now, Corey Grant checks in as a running back. And Thomas was also back there. He had moved over, and he picks up 2 or 3.
This offensive line, they haven't been as dominant as they were a year ago, but people forget the second half of the season last year is when this offensive line really gelled. There's been an injury to right tackle Patrick Miller, but that slid Chad Slade and Avery Young into their original positions a year ago, right guard, right tackle.
I think wasn't Robinson their tackle, the 5th player selected by the Rams?
I think he's the 2nd player picked.
Was he the 2nd player picked? And Marshall pumps it off to the side, and Corey Grant cuts inside, still going. Down to the 8-yard line.
This is one of the things Nick Marshall has done a way better job of this year. When things aren't open downfield, he finds the check down fast. Was trying to hit false on a wheel route, not there. Spit it out to Corey Grant. Let one of the fastest players of college football make hay.
Ball sitting just inside the 10, and Corey Grant comes into the game now on first down and goal. And there's the freshman moving over to the left side. And it was Marshall keeping it. Auburn leads again. Marshall rushes for his third touchdown of the game.
And you wonder why Steve Spurrier keeps gambling on fourth down, why he keeps on trying onside kicks and things like that. That's why. Because Auburn right now offensively is a juggernaut. They are up and down the field in a flash.
Extra point tacked on, back to 7. So Marshall on the night has kept it 9 times for 79 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's also thrown for a 4th.
You see right there, 10 of 12. Talk about him being one of the most dangerous dual threat quarterbacks in the country. Again, this guy, under the radar the last several weeks, has been playing, in my opinion, off the charts. Doesn't get enough credit.
Daniel Carlson with the ball on the tee for Auburn again. Now remember, he does everything. Kicks off, kicks field goals, extra points. He also punts. Coach is concerned about the second half. They should be concerned about tonight with all the kickoffs. Carson is back deep. Auburn's up 42-35, trying to keep their Final Four hopes alive. This will come out on the 25-yard line. And now it has come down to Dylan Thompson with 5 touchdowns, tying the South Carolina record here tonight.
What do you do if you're Ellis Johnson and Auburn's defense to stop Dylan Thompson? You played man-to-man all night. You try to force small windows, but against the man-to-man coverage, if a guy slips, gets behind you, it could be a house call. A lot of defenses like to go prevent in these situations.
They'll start with a swing pass, and a running back could not get outside. McKenzie kept Wilds from getting out of bounds.
And that's what Auburn's doing, Brent. They're sitting back, and they're going to try and keep the football in front of them, rally to the ball, and make tackles in space and bleed this clock.
Gamecock's got to get the ball downfield. Low snap. Thompson in trouble. Picks it up. On the run. Intercepted. Holsey, and hold on, out of bounds on that play. As Holsey went up in the air, he came down out of bounds. There's a penalty flag back by the line of scrimmage.
Ineligible player downfield on the offense, number 1. That's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat, check it out.
Take a look at this again. The scramble by Dylan Thompson up the field. Shaq rolling way out of bounds. Hosley makes the play. That foot just out of bounds. Allows South Carolina to retain possession.
The bad snap really disrupted that play. They've had several here tonight.
They have.
Thompson with good hands was able to save the moment. 35 seconds, and it's 2nd down and 16. South Carolina needs a hook and ladder or something. Out of bounds stops the clock. That's Nick Jones working the sideline against Mincy.
Dylan Thompson had to throw that as hard as he could to fit that in. I mean, that was an NFL-type throw from the far hash mark. Just to get that ball out of bounds, that was huge. So here it is, 3rd and 8. Once again, Auburn, and they've only been rushing 3 on this drive. Montravius Adams, Devontae Lambert, Gabe Wright, someone up front needs to get home. Force an early throw from Dylan Thompson.
Another bad snap. Thompson picks it up, fires, and that's complete. The clock will stop briefly. That was Adams, the tight end, who's replaced Anderson as the go-to tight end here tonight. They'll rock that clock quickly after they move the chains. And Thompson stops it. It'll be 2nd down and 10 coming up.
take a look. They've had some problems with Alan Knott, the center. And, you know, they made a change to center earlier this year, and one of the things they said was the reason was because Alan Knott was just a better shotgun snapper. It was kind of helping the rhythm of this offense. That hasn't always been the case tonight. It's kind of, as you mentioned, Brent, disrupted the timing and the passing game. This is a time right now. Execution's got to be at a premium, not just to the quarterback position throwing it, but all around the field on offense.
Thompson goes deep far sideline and out of bounds. Bird was the receiver, but there was pressure coming that time. Brandon King, who Ellis Johnson moved to an edge rusher this week. Brandon King was able to bring some heat that time.
Brandon King was a defensive back playing on third down situations, rushing the passer. This guy only weighs 213 pounds, but has tremendous speed. He was able to get home, and not just get home, he laid a lick on Dylan Thompson.
Final 11 seconds of what has been a great ball game. Another bad snap. Can he get out of bounds? There's a penalty flag down. Rowland does. Stops the clock. Shaq Rowland able to stop that clock.
It's going to be either hands to the face, I think, or holding potentially on Alan Knott, the center, number 70. It looked like he got his hands up in the face of a defender, Gus Malzahn. He's looking for a call.
Personal foul, hands to the face on the defense,
wow.
Number 86. That's a 15-yard penalty from the end of the run.
That's from the end of that
down.
play. That is a huge penalty.
No kidding. You know, and I'm watching this again. When I watched it live, I thought it was an offensive call. I don't think Gus Malzahn can believe that. You know, no time to argue it. You've got to get going. Look at the middle of the field. See, it's just there on the outside. It was the left tackle. I think Corey Robinson working against Lambert. It didn't look like much.
Duke Williams has just gone into center field, the wide receiver, as a defensive back for Ellis Johnson. He's in the middle of the field, standing back at the 7-yard line. Duke Williams on the field. 5 seconds left. Thompson steps up, fires it toward the end zone. Jump ball. And Auburn's Jonathan Jones comes down with it. Auburn moves on. They stay in the argument to make college football's first Final Four. Nothing came easy here tonight as South Carolina was throwing a possible tying touchdown pass into the end zone. And Jones able to bring it down. Take a look at this, Jesse.
Well, offenses practice this and defenses too, each and every week. Dylan Thompson does a nice job buying himself time, give himself a shot to get this down into the end zone. There you see Duke Williams, number 1. He's the one that gets the first paw on it, but ultimately it's Jonathan Jones making the pick.
Wow, what a great play by Williams as Ellis Johnson sends him back to center field. Let's go down now with Maria and Coach.
Coach, in a game that was ultimately a shootout, it came down to your defensive stand on that last possession. What did you see from them?
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm very proud of them. We bent right there, and we got them down there in the hole and made a play to win the game at the end.
Well, this game had 5 ties in it. How would you describe the back-and-forth nature of it?
I tell you what, we knew we were going to get their A game. You know, that's one of the best coaches to ever coach. He took some chances, and they paid off a lot. But our guys found a way to win against a very good team. Very proud of our team.
Your quarterback, Nick Marshall, 3 rushing touchdowns in this game. How would you assess the way that he was able to lead your offense?
Yeah, I thought he did a wonderful job. You know, we were able to run the ball. I would have liked to got the ball there. You know, they went for 4th down, then they got the onside kick right there. But, you know, I thought he played good, and I thought our offensive line played well.
But you continue the brutal SEC gauntlet. What does this help your team moving forward?
Hey, we won against a real good team. We didn't play our best. They had a lot to do with it, but we won. I'm proud of our team.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Maria, thank you very much. What a night in the SEC. Auburn wins 42-35, but South Carolina throwing into the end zone on the final play of the game. Let's go to the SEC studios, and here's our buddy Dari Noka. Dari, what a night in the conference.